There is a hidden subliminal core message within the Color Purple film that undermines the relationship shared between black men and black women. The most effective way to brainwash a targeted population is not blatant because it would cause the population to immediately put their guards up. The most effective way to brainwash a targeted population is subtle so they don't see it coming. It's achieved by embedding subliminal messages into the minds of the targeted audience that bypasses their conscious minds and goes directly into their subconscious minds. This is the case in regard to the latest Color Purple movie. There's an underlying subliminal message that is embedded within the Color Purple films that actually works against the interests of the relationship shared between black men and black women. Within the film, the main villain is a black man that's not worthy of the name Mr. And the many other supporting characters of black men are weak and spineless and endorses the behavior of the main villain. The victim is a black woman named Celie that's repeatedly abused by the black male villain. The hero in the film that comes to rescue Celie is a lesbian named Shug Avery that shows Celie that she hasn't truly experienced good lovemaking until she has experienced it from a woman. This element of the film may be directly related to the fact that the Color Purple film is based upon a novel written by Alice Walker, a feminist and lesbian African-American woman. The screenwriter of the 2023 Color Purple movie is Marcus Gardley, who was openly a gay man. The negative media social engineering of the black culture through movies is always more accepted by the black audiences when the faces that we're looking at looks like us. Now, certainly there are those who will immediately say, oh, here we go again. Why can't we just celebrate the movie? The types of black people who says this are not critical thinker. They're exactly the type of black audiences that the white ruling class wants. They don't want critical thinking black people. They only want black people, black populations that are just smart enough to work, pay taxes, fight within their wars, and be consumers of their products, and that remains ignorant of how Hollywood movies have always been used to shape the collective minds of black audiences in ways that serves the system of white supremacy, while most black viewers don't even notice it. Most people think that movies are made for nothing more than entertainment. This has never been the case. The greatest social messages are promoted through movies and high drama through the fixation of emotive sequences and emotional sequences, not logic nor factual sequences, but pushing points across in an emotional way that will register and fix in the subconscious mind. Emotional content is very important when going through a natural discussion, when using logic and facts. There's no debate. But when you're being downloaded through fiction, your guard is down. The sensitive part of your brain is not in action. It isn't saying, yes, I agree with this, or I disagree with that, like you would in a debate or a lecture. You're actually in an alpha state, being completely downloaded with ideas and images. This media's subliminal programming system allows white movie makers to subliminally embed hidden ideologies into subconscious minds of movie viewers without most of us even realizing it. The white elites know these secrets and have used them for many years to shape the collective minds of black movie viewers in ways that serves and protects the interests of the white society. Throughout history, social engineering have refined techniques designed to control large populations. It was through Hollywood movies constantly depicting white people as being heroes and saviors, and wherein which black people were often reduced to playing subordinate sidekicks and were also usually the first to die, that the movie industry was used to embed a favorable heroic image makeover about white people within the minds of millions of black people. The majority of black people are not perceiving the white society based upon an accurate interpretation of the true history shared between our racial group and the white society. The majority are actually functioning based upon a favorable image makeover that have been embedded into their minds through movies, constantly depicting white people as being heroes and saviors of black people. The white society systematically manipulates the collective minds of black people through movies while we think we're just being entertained. Proof of this fact is clearly witnessed within the Marvel's Black Panther superhero movie. In that film, the black revolutionary named Killmonger that's trying to liberate black people is portrayed as the evil villain. And the white CIA agent that shot down the aircraft trying to deliver weapons to aid in the liberation of black people is portrayed as the hero. In the film, when the white CIA agent shot down the aircraft, black audience cheered, not realizing that they were cheering against their own self-interest. Even within the sequel entitled Wakanda Forever, within that film, black and brown people have a common enemy, which was the white society that wanted to exploit both of their natural resources. But instead of logically unifying against their common enemies, they fought against themselves in the film. The common sense solution of unifying against their common enemies was kept totally out of the script. Through movies, we're being constantly subliminally manipulated to think in ways that serves and protects the interests of the white society, even when we think we're just being entertained. Here's one more example that makes this point. In 2013, actor, producer, director Danny Glover was attempting to make an epic movie about the Haitian independence hero Toussaint Louverture. However, he said he struggled to raise funds for the movies because a financier complained that there were no white heroes. The film was scheduled to be shot in Venezuela early in the year 2014. Key actors assigned to the film was Don Cheadle, Mos Def, Wesley Snipes, and Angela Bassett. Producers said, "It's a great project, but where are the white heroes?" Glover said that he couldn't get the money in the US, he couldn't get the money in France and Britain. He said he went everywhere, but they all insisted that he whitewashed the script by adding white heroes to help Toussaint Louverture. Now, those that are naive may believe that the white producer's decision not to support Glover's movie unless there were added white heroes was merely a business decision. However, the truth is much more deeply profound than that. The reason why white supremacy is so prevalent in the movie industry is because movies do much more than just entertain. The movie industry is one of the most important apparatus used for maintaining white supremacy. Now let's return to the color purple. The color purple serves a nefarious hidden agenda of the white society. There's a secret war being covertly waged against black people by white oppressive forces. Like in every other war that they've waged in the past, they are deploying divide and conquer psychological warfare against black people. In addition to dividing black people collectively as a whole, there's also a secret divide and conquer psychological warfare that's being deployed directly to divide black men and black women from each other. This is easily achieved because within the white dominant society, all narratives that black men and black women receive about each other comes exclusively from white people. This means that white people literally controls how both our sexes perceive each other. This fact allows white oppressive forces to negatively control what black men and black women believe about each other. It in fact allows them to breed distrust and division amongst black people at our most intimate levels. Case, point, and proof. White propagandists have spread the alleged claim that studies have found that white men treats their women better than black men do. They've also spread the claim alleging studies have found that white women are more supportive than black women are. As a result of these claims, many black people are presently functioning based upon their perceptions created by these information. Many therefore believe that by getting white spouses are inherently better. But in reality, there's no true sources for such claims that whites treat their partners better. Because the fact is, race is absolutely not a factor of how good someone will treat you. How people treat their significant other within a relationship are based upon values instilled within them while growing up. How they've witnessed their parents treat each other. Their relationships with a parent of the opposite sex, a history of abuse, and even their culture may be a factor of how they may treat each other. But race is not a factor of how someone will treat you. Those narratives that you've heard that alleges that whites treat their partners better than blacks is fraudulent propaganda designed to promote division between black men and black women. Those black people who do not critically think nor research facts for themselves or question the validity of all information they receive from white sources are the ones that becomes victims of those propaganda campaigns. Black men are not leaving black women in droves to get white women. That's not our reality. The white society's media propaganda campaigns have resulted in many black women now insisting that there's a deficiency of black men that loves black women. They believe that most black men are leaving their counterparts and running in droves to marry white women. However, this has never been the case. In reality, the truth is in fact the direct opposite. U.S. Census Bureau released a report that studied the history of marriage in the U.S. It found that 86.5% of African American husbands are married to black women, and that only 7% are married to white women. This is a direct contradiction of what's commonly believed. The U.S. Census also found that black women were the least likely to marry outside their race, with only 4% are married outside to white men, and an astounding 91% are married to black men. The fact is that most black men and black women prefer to marry among themselves. This is the opposite of the commonly held belief that there's a deficiency of black on black love. Black on black love strongly exists. It is actually Asian women who have the highest rate of intermarriages outside their race, which is more than twice that of which is 24%. 24% of Asian women are married outside their race. It's the truth we never hear in the media. Now, here's the reason why many black women now insist that they've seen it with their own eyes that black men are running in droves to marry white women, although they're in fact not. Once a preconceived belief has been successfully embedded into the human mind, the individual that only notice those incidents that appears to confirm the embedded belief, and they become psychologically blinded from noticing the greater evidences refuting it. For example, if the belief that all Asians are bad drivers has been successfully embedded into a person's mind, he or she will then only notice those bad Asian drivers that appears to confirm the embedded belief. And they will become psychologically blinded from noticing the excellent Asian drivers that refutes the false belief. Then based upon this psychological blindness, he or she will argue vehemently that they've witnessed it with their own eyes that Asians are bad drivers. All those absolutely untrue. Therefore, and likewise, when black women have been manipulated to believe that most black men are marrying white women, they then only notices those interracial couples that appears to confirm their embedded belief, and they become psychologically blinded from noticing the greater number of black couples refuting the embedded false belief. This brainwashing is so strong that many black women will respond by saying that when black men becomes rich and famous, most of them prefer white spouses. This perception among black women is also created by media propagandists. By constantly propagating the image of the black male celebrity with the white wives, while not showing the greater amount of black male celebrities with black wives, this has created imbalance in the media that has caused black women to feel unloved and undervalued by black men. This is especially strong when they're constantly seeing it. But the reality is that most successful black men also prefer black women. Over 78% of black male celebrities are married to black women. I can prove this. You just compile a list, a random list of 40 black male celebrities, wealthy blacks. After you do this, Google their wives. You will see over 78% are married to black women. Many black women have also been manipulated to believe that black men are the worst fathers, are the most deadbeat fathers. Okay, that's the narrative that's put out there. However, studies show that black fathers spend more time with their children than whites and Latino. Recent data pushed by the Center for Disease Control revealed that African American fathers spend more time in their children's day-to-day life than dads of other racial groups, defying the stereotype about black fathers. The Pew Research Center has found similar evidence that black dads are not lesser involved in children's life than white dads in many significant ways. My point is, the white society constantly feeds us disinformation that keeps us believing the worst about ourselves. We must be critical thinkers and understand that that's not our reality. The white society wants to keep our perceptions negatively about ourselves because it makes us easier to control. According to social science, perception is more important than reality for controlling a people because people function based upon their perceptions rather than a true reality. So the white society constantly feeds us fraudulent propaganda that keeps our perceptions negative because it makes us easy to control. When we oppress our self-loathing, they are much more easy to control. Those false narrative then enters the arguments that black men and black women have with each other. A black man will say, I need to go find me a white woman. They treat you better. And the black woman reply, go, they're just weak. But there's no evidence that white women treat you better. It's untrue. But they're functioning based upon it. A black woman will say, I need to find me a white man. They treat you better. And we function based upon those narratives. And sometimes you will see a black person with a white spouse, and they inherently feel that they're better because they have a white spouse. They've been programmed. Black women ain't no good. Black men ain't good. But because people, they're functioning based upon the narratives that are repetitively fed into their minds. There are white social science and a propagandist that works unrelentingly behind the scenes manipulating the minds of black people because there's an immense fear of massive black unified retribution given the history shared between the white society and the black population. During the 1960s, it was determined that the unprecedented black protest was caused by an elevated and unifying black collective self-esteem brought on by the emergence of the Black Pride movement. It was also discovered that our collective aggressions toward the white society had grown to a point which resulted in those the unprecedented black protests. So now they give us propaganda that constantly keeps our self-esteem low and keep our collective aggression directed towards ourselves. It's how the white society now protects itself from massive unified black retribution. The white society controls the media we watch, the movies we watch, okay? The information is constantly being fed into our minds. If you don't think that they're exploiting this monopoly to constantly manipulate us to think in ways that protect the system of white supremacy, you are naive, gullible, and ignorant. You're constantly being subliminally embedded with propaganda that is designed to make you think in ways that serve the white society. The color purple does that. In the color purple, you're constantly seeing the negative images about black men, terrible images about black men, and the black woman has been abused. The black man is Mr. He also wants to sleep with Celi's sister. Everything is negative. And the one who comes to the rescue of her is a lesbian who she first time experienced great lovemaking when she got it from a woman. Now, when you're sitting and watching a movie, like I said, you're in an alpha state. Look at the subliminal programming you're getting there. The black men are terrible. The black men are awful. The black men are evil. Oh, she didn't experience good lovemaking until she got it from a woman. It is time that we wake up. If you think that our minds are being shaped by silly slave syndrome myth and that the Bible's going to save us, you are the part of the damn problem. Wake up to our reality.